Welcome to Simply Verified Beef, the podcast. I'm your co-host, Bree Patterson, VBP Plus Coordinator from BC, and I'm here to take you through episode number 2 on processing. We've got 3 great guests, and I will turn it over to them. We've got Ron Stevenson from Metzger Vet Services, Andrea van Iterson, a VBP Plus Feedlot from BC, and Erika Stewart, VBP Plus Coordinator in Saskatchewan, and also VBP Plus producer. Ron, do you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Ron Stevenson. I'm actually a VBP Plus producer myself. We run about 110 cows at home here. And then I do have a day job and business manager at Metzger Vet Services in Linwood, Ontario, and Alberta Beef Health Services in Pitcher Butte, Alberta.
Excellent. Andrea?
Hi, I'm Andrea van Iterson. I work with my family at our backgrounding feedlot in the little town of Westwold, BC. We are VBP Plus producers. I also work with the BC Association of Cattle Feeders as their executive director.
Thanks, Andrea. And Erika?
Hi, my name is Erika Stewart. I ranch with my husband, our 3 daughters, and alongside my parents in Morse, Saskatchewan. We have a cow-calf operation and we also background. And I'm also the VBP Plus Coordinator for Saskatchewan.
Excellent. Thank you guys for introducing yourself. As you can tell, we've got a great lineup of speakers today.
So on behalf of Bree, this is Amy Higgins. I am the VBP Coordinator for New Brunswick, and Bree is just having some technical difficulties. So I am going to step in and table some of the topics for today as a co-host. So I would like to thank everybody for being patient with some of the audio issues, but we've got it figured out now. And the first sort of topic for discussion: why is processing important to the Canadian beef industry and beef cattle in general? And maybe you can just go into the term of what processing is to you and on your ranch or in your operation.
Sure, I can start first, and then the ladies can bail me out when I make a mistake. I think it's important for the Canadian beef industry to show leadership and obviously trade. We're a net exporter of beef and a great product that we have, and we have to show the rest of the world that we can process these cattle. And obviously, records with VBP Plus are very important. And the whole old saying that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and to process those calves young or even through on arrival and different yards. Vaccines and preventative medicine are way outweighed and more beneficial than looking for antibiotics or treatment drugs, and then that can bring us all into the antimicrobial resistance and all those topics. But just good husbandry, good stockmanship on processing cattle, safe for the producer, safe for the cattle, really make a good product down the line.
And Andrea, sort of as a feedlot, like what are you guys looking for in terms of that processing and what needs to get done before they get to your place and what gets done at your place?
Yeah, I think Ron made a comment about husbandry, and that would be exactly what I would say to it as well. All producers, our number one concern is first and foremost animal welfare, and processing and getting animals vaccinated and adhering to whatever health protocols that we've developed with our veterinarians is very, very important. So for us in our setting on our backgrounding side, we get calves in fresh weaned. We try to buy calves, and Canada has such a great selection of either VBP Plus producers or producers that follow the beef code of practice and recommendations that do come from veterinarians as far as vaccination protocols and herd management. So we get those calves in, we give them a booster on arrival. We would refer to it as induction processing. They'll get a booster. They will get any veterinarian work that they need done, whether they need dehorning. If they're young bull calves, they will get castrated. We usually do insecticide as well on them. They will get a hormone implant if that is part of the protocol for that particular lot, an ID tag, and we process them into our computer database as well. So for us, kind of an added piece of it, and I think for a lot of ranches as well, as people are becoming more and more technology advanced in the industry, it's a piece of our traceability as well. When they do get processed. And, further down the line, we will do a revaccination on groups. We'll do a reimplant if that's a part of the production procedures for that group. And as well as typically when they leave, they'll get a scan out in some instances as well.
Great. Well, that was a very comprehensive description of sort of what you guys are seeing at your place. Erika, from a cow-calf producer and VBP Plus coordinator perspective, do you have any comments on the front to finish process?
Yeah, so the first two guests were very comprehensive, so I don't have too much to add, but maybe just also from, say, a bit of a biosecurity perspective. So that is one of the pillars of the VBP Plus program. So perhaps you take your cattle to a community pasture in the summer. When you're processing your animals, you know that they have good protection, right? Like you've given them those vaccinations, so they have protection from some of those viruses or diseases that can be present. And similarly, if you are showing your cattle or you have kids in 4-H, by vaccinating them and having that protection, that can really prevent a disease outbreak within your herd, but then help us keep our good status with our Canadian herd as well.
One thing maybe we didn't touch on, and I think everybody will agree, that those pre-immunized vaccines that we do on the younger the calf, the better we set it up for success. So me as a cow-calf producer, if I do my vaccines and I have healthy calves to give to Andrea, her prime immunizations on her arrival protocol boost well off that, and the overall health of the animal goes a long way by starting early. But starting early means good processing equipment too, and making sure that if you have good equipment and help, obviously it makes the process go a lot better. So that's key.
Yeah, thanks, Ron. That's a really great point. And I think that we have Bree back. She's trying another angle on her recording device. So we'll welcome Bree back and see if we can take two to see if it'll work. And she can take the second topic.
Well, thank you, Amy. And hopefully this works better. Always the glitches, but got to roll with the punches. That's what VBP is all about. So thank you guys. That was a great conversation on why it's important to have processing. So let's kind of jump in from a VBP Plus standpoint. So you're all VBP Plus producers and all heavily involved in the VBP Plus program. So where do you see processing and VBP Plus overlapping? I know Erika briefly touched on biosecurity, which is one of our 4 pillars of the VBP Plus program. So I'll turn it over for a good discussion again.
Sure. Yeah, we run with two different day jobs I have. We do have a mobile processing crew that goes around and helps some of the smaller cow-calf ranchers and people with some mobile equipment. We try to gather all the information we can at the time, with some Gallagher tablets that we have to leave good records for the producers. Obviously, if this is turnout or branding time, those are the first vaccines these calves are going to see with some RFID tags. Like Andrea said in the first topic, this is the easiest time too to get hands on those calves. And if there's a procedure that has to be done, it's a lot easier animal welfare wise for castration, dehorning with the beef code of practice and some pain mitigation. Yeah, we really just try to make it simple for the producer to make sure that things are properly done, and really we're setting those calves up for success as they start on grass. We've also done ones pre-boosting before the sale in the fall, and then we've also helped with the mobile systems, for incoming feedlots and backgrounders too. So we go by the beef code of practice, VBP Plus. We start the record process for the producers and try to make it easy for them that they have a start.
And so for records from our ranch, we have a Gallagher scale head. So we can type in all the medications or vaccine that we're giving them. And then it automatically, or you put in the withdrawal time, and then that'll automatically link that withdrawal time to that animal when we scan their RFID tag. So that's been really handy for us on our operation. I do still you have a pen and paper copy, and I use that a lot for like our individual treatments. If we did a pasture treatment in the field, then we can just write it down in our binder of treatment. So we kind of use both on our operation. So then from a VBP Plus standpoint, the program is not restrictive. So it doesn't matter how producers keep their treatment records. We just need those records to be done. So the requirements of the VBP Plus program would be you would record the date the animal was treated, the animal's identification, the product used, dose and administration, so say 2 cc's sub-Q, and then that withdrawal time. And then for the VBP Plus records as well, so there's 2 different types of records. So there would be the individual animal treatment record. So that would be, if something's sick, we rode out to the pasture and noticed like yearling had foot rot, we doctor it, that's one individual animal. So that would be your individual records. And then your group treatments would be, say, at branding, when you're doing a big group of animals that are all getting the same, for example, vaccine, like your modified live vaccine and your bacterial vaccine, they're all getting the same vaccine on the same date. So that would be a group record.
I think if I could comment as far as VBP and processing and the links between the two of them as well, the way that VBP, like Erika mentioned, it isn't restrictive. Our program that we use, we are basically all digital. Everything is run through a software database. We have the luxury of being able to track every ounce of feed that goes into an animal's mouth in the feedlot, right? So we do have some luxuries that way that maybe cow-calf doesn't have when they're out on grass and that kind of thing. But having VBP, and it's almost like another checklist. We follow the best management practices. We follow what the Code of Practice puts out there. But it's actually quite shocking how everything aligns so well. And VBP does make it very easy for us to kind of check those boxes and say, yes, that vaccine given, this withdrawal time recorded, that treatment date. And, as Erika said, whether it comes to an individual treatment or a whole group processing.
I think you guys did a great job of kind of outlining how VBP Plus intertwines and is utilized for processing. So I guess we want to jump into topic number 3 and looking at it from both a local, so producer perspective, and then from a national perspective as well. What are some of the issues that we could see from a producer level or a national level, like animal health and infectious disease perspective, when it comes to not having processing procedures in place at any operation? What are some things that could potentially cause harm to the beef value chain or to the producer or to the animal?
Yeah, I find on the local side, and we see it all the time if we go to any of our local auction barns, improperly processed cattle or lack of processing without proper vaccines and insecticides, blackleg. Like locally, those producers, they take a general decrease in what they could get for that calf. And I'm talking from a cow-calf perspective, is that's kind of the hat I'm wearing right now. And those calves they're traded less, just because there's no history. Like, I think it's so important locally, to you're getting that calf ready for the next producer, and you're starting it right. And you have reputation calves that are vaccinated well, RFID tagged, verified birth dates, and it just sets it up so well for the producer to make some extra money by just preconditioning those calves. Nationally, still, in Canada, we see bovine respiratory disease, BRD, is public enemy number 1. Calves that come into a feedlot backgrounding operation not properly immunized, still, and this is where it costs those producers a lot of money. You're reaching for molecules that are more expensive. Vaccines are always cheaper than reaching for the big molecules and antibiotics. And then those producers then have to it's an extra layer of paperwork for them for withdrawal times and trying to get sick cattle up on feed. So
I would say too, the VBP Plus program and properly processing our animals, it just kind of raises the bar for the Canadian beef industry. We're doing a great job and we do have a great story to tell. And I just think if we can continue to improve, it just really helps our story and be able to communicate that with the consumer and talk about the great product we do raise from lots of different standpoints, an animal welfare standpoint and things like that.
So Ron, do you mind jumping back to some more information on the Calf Club calves and their reputation in, say, the feedlot setting, particularly on mortality and first polls?
Yeah, absolutely. So we run 4 calf clubs in southwestern Ontario. Those calf clubs all vaccinate the same. They manage the same, and then they run by a strict protocol, and then they run into a pre-sort sale in the fall. So we've tracked about 60,000 calves since we started this program. Last year's health performance numbers for 2020, we only treated 6.5% of those calves that were treated once. Our chronics are 0.51%, and our death loss is running at 0.37. And this probably is to the point of good processing, good record keeping, VBP plus records. The bulls are looked after properly, the cows are looked after properly, both vaccines, EPDs, all the preventative things we have to do, and then really setting those calves up, for turnout with good vaccines, and then 4 weeks prior to the sale, they come back and to get booster shots. So those are the kind of numbers we're seeing as we track to all the feedlots.
That's really great data. And I'm going to turn this over to Andrea, since she is a feedlot operator. Do you have any data, Andrea, from your perspective of non-VBP plus calves coming through versus VBP plus calves coming through? And, do you see that they're healthier or easier to manage from a backgrounding feedlot perspective?
Yeah, I don't have, metrics to put to it like Ron did, but I can say that it is something that is recognized when we're out purchasing calves. More and more people are using it as a marketing tactic, which is greatly appreciated by us because we already know there's kind of that so-called seal of approval on those calves. We know that they are following a protocol. Whether it's the same protocol that we follow or not, we know that it's something that's put it out there by a veterinarian. It's something that somebody is checking on and that we can trust it is the biggest thing. And absolutely, when we get calves that we know have been vaccinated, that they're on some kind of a health program, we see way less issues with them. Getting calves on feed, I can't remember if it was Erika or Ron that brought it up, but getting calves on feed, getting them drinking once they get in the yard is our number one priority, and those calves don't get sick. And if they've had a good health protocol, you can absolutely recognize it once we place them.
I think that's kind of a key takeaway here. Having animals that are healthy and happy are going to make sure that we get them to become happy little steaks in the end for the consumer to consume. If you guys have nothing else to add there, I want to jump into our fourth topic of any extra words of advice or best practices that you guys live by from a VB Plus standpoint, or just from a producer standpoint as well, that might be helpful for others out there who are thinking that, processing is too much to do, or maybe they've had a hang up here or there. So any words of advice that we can give to other producers would be greatly appreciated. So I'll let you guys do a roundtable discussion.
I think we talked, it was really good. Our first question there, VBP Plus, don't be scared of it. It's there for us to succeed, whether you're electronic, whether you want to work out of a calving book and work out of a binder, anything can work to make sure that protocols are being set. And we do provide, Canada beef and everybody that wants to buy our great product. We have a long list of great stories to tell and what we're doing. It seems like a daunting task when you're going to start an audit process, but it's not. Like, most people, I think, are doing what we're doing now. Like, everything's written down. You're only going to send and get looked at. That paperwork gets looked at yearly, and then you get an audit on farm. At least we do here, our ranch, every 5 years. A lot of producers are doing this now. It's just a matter of getting signed up and taking advantage of it. And if you're lucky with there's producers, now recognized with the Canadian Roundtable Sustainable Beef. If there's money that flows back on some of those programs, everybody's involved: the feedlot, the backgrounder, and the cow-calf. So don't be afraid of it. I think it's, once you get started, you'll see that it's an easy process, and a lot of great people, the field reps, everybody's there to help you. It's not as daunting task as one might think.
Yeah, those were great points, Ron. I'd like to add as well, I feel the word audit is a little bit of a scary word for a producer. I know before our audit, before I was involved in the VBP Plus program as a coordinator, I was a little bit nervous. But it's a scary word for us as producers, but I think it's a reassuring word for consumers. And so at the end of the day, that's kind of what we got to keep in the back of our mind is the VBP Plus program is there also to show to consumers that beef producers in Canada are, using vet products responsibly, are adhering to animal animal welfare protocols and the beef code of practice. So it's those reassuring things that I think will really help our Canadian beef industry. And if there are producers out here listening interested in the VBP Plus program, please go to the website, contact your provincial coordinator. We're all here to help. And that's a huge part of our job. If there are some things on your operation that you need to maybe improve on a bit before your audit, that's our job. We're here to help, take you through those things and really help you improve in any areas that you may need. But like Ron said, most people are doing these things. So might as well take advantage of some of the financial credits that are available out there.
I'm really glad that you guys both brought that up. The fact that it is very daunting when you first hear about VBP and that the word audit is scary, but we really are, as producers, most likely doing at least 90% of the things that are asked of us in VBP. And I know for myself, the biggest piece was maybe the paperwork. There were some eye openers of where we should keep track of things just a little bit better. We were doing them, but there was just a better way to record something or a better way of storing information. And honestly, it makes my life easier now that we've been doing it for a few years. We've been a part of the program for a few years. I can go back on records and there is a little bit more clarity even there for myself. The rest of the VBP program, the rest of being a part of CRSB aside, it has simplified things for myself as well. And that's something that I share with peers when they ask about it, is that, you know, you probably are doing what's already required of you. And this is just that extra boost in the consumer's eyes, mostly as producers ourselves in the feedlot side of things. It's something we recognize as well.
To say Andrea and Erika did a great job, because I think we're producers, we got our hats on, we're out doing our thing, and a lot of that it's the consumer, right? We have to do the third party or somebody, the veterinarians involved, the field coordinators are involved. It's so important to the consumer. You know, we all know we're less than 2% of producing great food here in Canada. And I think we got to sometimes step back and say, you know, people forget where their food comes from, and they have a lot of choices. There's protein choices out there from pork and that other stuff, chicken, that it's a condiment carrier. You have to put something on it, eat it anyways. But, you know, we have a great product. We have beef, it tastes good. And we have to promote that with the consumer, and having an assurance program, like Andrea and Erika said, we're producing food. And it's so important, and that's a privilege that we're producing food. And let's tell the producer our great story.
For any producers listening that are interested in the VBP Plus program, but are maybe feeling it's a little bit of a daunting task for records, on the VBP Plus website, there are sample records that you can print and use. And I always suggest those to people who are just starting, because they just simplify the process. You just essentially, it's a table that's filled out, you can fill it in. So you don't have to remember, the withdrawal time is something I need to add, or dose and administration. Like if you're worried about forgetting some of the requirements, it's all there in those sample records. You can just print those off, and it makes it really seamless when you're first starting out, I find. And then once you it's habit and you get into the protocol, then you can maybe make some changes to those documents, or, you know, venture out and try some apps. There's some great apps out there for managing data, or, you know, the scale heads, things like that. But yeah, if you're interested in, you feel that it's a daunting task with the records, the Verified Beef program does have these sample records that are great.
We will definitely toss some sample records in the show notes. And I think you guys have all summarized the importance of VBP. And you did mention the audit, and I'm going to do a little bit of a boost to the previous episode. So episode 1 was actually on audits. So for all you who haven't listened to episode 1, rewind, go listen to that and enjoy it. But I think you guys did a great job of summarizing the importance of VBP Plus as a program, the records, the auditing, why it's important to actively have processing procedures in place for your operation, regardless if that's cow-calf or feedlot. And we've also expressed how important it is for the consumer to see a program like VBP out there and accessible to producers across Canada. So I just want to thank you guys, Ron, Andrea, and Erika, for joining us for episode 2 of the Simply Verified Beef podcast. If you guys want any more information, if you need to reach out to your local, so your provincial coordinator, be sure to check out our website at www.verifiedbeef.ca. There's a plethora of great information there. Like Erika mentioned, a whole bunch of sample records. There's recordings from our webinar series, and there's contact information for a variety of different people who you might want to connect with. So until next time, this is the Simply Verified Beef podcast. We'd like to thank our sponsors again, since without them, we couldn't have this fabulous show for you guys to tune into.
So thank you to the Canadian Agricultural Partnership through New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and Prince Edward Island. See you next month.
Catch you guys later.